All right, I'm coming back from the gym. I'm doing my walk. It's nice out here. Walking, doing this way, walk home. Helps me. But there's something I've been thinking about recently, and uh, there's already some people who caught on to it. So, but the way I'm thinking of this time, space, and clear space technology is combined. Actually, this is what I call it. I don't know what they call it, but basically, they were using two magnets to uh, give them a give them or a vehicle a space where gravity doesn't affect them. In other words, friction won't affect them. So you could fly at Mach 2 and it would be the same as walking. You could do it in your Sunday suit because the space around you would not be affected by your speed whatsoever. I've been thinking about this stuff for years, actually. But of course, other people have too, because there's a good chance that it's already been created long before we were here by people who were flying around in Vimanas and stuff like that. Nonetheless, here's my theory on it. That's clear space. Now, time space technology uh, is not necessarily the space out in the atmosphere, hemisphere, that other stuff where the moon so-called is. It's just uh, time, as in you're able to fold time. Now, we've always thought that the fastest way to get from one space to another is by walking through a door. In other words, you can fold the space, an actual space, and use a wormhole and go from one spot to another. Now, people want to always use that and say, we can do this in outer space. I say we can do that in our living room. The reason why that is because there are elements that we can use that are here on Earth. You don't have to travel 5 miles above your head to prove a theory. Uh, for one, when I look at the propeller system and the rocket systems that I know very little to nothing about, I always think the propeller system, and forgive me for you space aerotech people, is not at its fullest potential. Even though we can go, supposedly Mach 12 in what's called a jump jet or a I forgot what that jet is called, but it skips along the stratosphere, I believe. Even though you can do that, uh, it also uses lasers as weapons, so that's pretty cool. Uh, but even though you can do that, you spend, $60 billion building this thing just to prove how fast it can go. And I say that somebody who spends, $500 can actually use the same technology. Everything is not so far reaching and not dominated by one race. Uh, okay, so let's get that out of our minds that there are a certain class of people that dominate this world, so they're the only ones who can do this. No. You have all kind of people building vehicles in their backyard. You got people who are building mechs right now in their garage. So, no, we're not having that. All you need is the time and the know-how and not very much material. Now, the thing about humans is we're like a virus. We go somewhere, we eat up all the resources, and then we go somewhere else and do the same thing. But we also leave valuable things behind. Go to any junkyard and you can build yourself a doggone, a transformer out of it. There's just everything that's there, not as a transformer as an electric, but you can build that too. But as in the car robot type of thing, you can build anything out of a junkyard, which the movie also has that in it. Getting back on point, what I'm saying is, when it comes to uh, jump space technology, when I look at the aeroplane and I look at the turbines that we're using, I always think that the turbine itself is not at its fullest potential. The BPMs, or not BPMs, but the RPMs and everything spins at a certain speed, but nonetheless, that speed can be multiplied to a significant higher speed if you simply build within the propeller itself. Now, I don't know how to do this, and this is the reason why I'm talking about it. Some people would be like, oh, you're giving away, your good ideas. Listen, I'm old and I'm tired. And I don't know how to do these things because I'm not mathematically inclined. One of the elements that you have to do these things, you have to know or try to get to know this stuff and be mentally able to comprehend it. And then, of course, have a little bit of money in your pocket, not a whole lot, and go forth. I'm also not a greedy person. So money is a necessary element, but if I could live without it, I would. I don't necessarily need a bunch of it, not unless I'm working on a project that needs a bunch of money. Or I'm working a regular job and it says, you get paid this amount of money. I don't want somebody to come and say, oh, we're not gonna pay you this amount of money because you don't need it. I'll be like, I quit. All right, look at that. Woo, that's nice. 57 Chevy, Bel Air. Anyways, so when you combine the jump space technology, okay, let me explain it to you further. Jump space technology pretty much uses the turbine system to open not necessarily a door, but not necessarily not a door. Okay, if you're flying at cruising speed of 500 miles an hour, which is what a 747 does. You're flying at cruising speed of 500 miles an hour, and if you use jump space technology, you can fold 5 and then jump to 1,000 instantly. Now, if you're using clear space with it, you will never feel the effects of the jump. It'll be just like if you're walking. It'll be just like if you never jumped at all, except you'll be in a different place faster. Now, what it won't do, it won't tear apart the plane because there'll be no friction. It won't be any turbulence whatsoever. This way, the strain of the vehicle will never be in any risk or danger, simply because clear space and jump space technology are working together. And if you combine the two, you can you can pretty much hop through a hurricane like it's nothing because the wind elements won't affect you. No matter how hard it is, you can jump right through it. So the good thing about it is, if you're doing, Mach 2, you can easily jump to Mach 4. Now, here's the thing. Say your turbines only allow you to fly at Mach 2. Well, if you jump to Mach 4, you'll still have the choice of either flying at Mach 2, staying at Mach 2, you just jumped as if you were doing Mach 4, and or you can use your turbines to actually set you at the cruising speed of Mach 4. Now that's a little bit more difficult, but just think of it like this. If you're on a bicycle and you're pedaling the bike and you stop pedaling, the bike is still going at the same speed that you pedaled up to. If you're on flat land, eventually it slows down, but a really good bike will pretty much stay at that speed for a while. All right? You can actually do this with an airplane, with the turbines not working extra hard. It's almost like they're freewheeling. Now, somebody's gonna come along and give me some scientific hoopla and say, this is not possible because you can't turn the turbines off. Wrong. It is possible, and you're not turning the turbines off. The turbines are not turning off, for one, okay? They're not. The turbines will continue to move, but they'll be using, uh, they can use, well, any number of systems to do that, to stay at that speed. They can use the actual wind, meaning the clear, now if you do that, then of course you're gonna have friction upon the airplane, but that doesn't mean you have to do it at Mach 4. It just doesn't. See, the problem with our airplanes going down is one, sometimes electrician, they get hit with a lightning bolt, boom. The motor goes out, you're only operating on one motor and you got two, boom, the other one locks up or goes out. Two, you climb to a certain height and you get caught into a hailstorm. The motor freezes. Now they have something to stop that, but we know the airplane still can go down if the motor locks up and freezes. The motor locks up and freezes. When I look at this, I go, okay, the motor locked up, there's not no power getting to the motor. How is there a way that we can make the motor glide? And or how can we actually protect the motor from the elements? Once again, I'm not a scientist. I'm just somebody who has a theory. If you protect the whole plane from the actual elements, which you actually can by using gravitational instruments and elements within the vehicle, lightning won't even affect you. It'd be like you weren't even there. But it won't go through the plane. It'll hit off of the plane, but it will not affect the plane itself. Once again, the turbine systems that we're using, I don't know how many fans are in a turbine system of a Rolls-Royce jet engine, but if my theory is correct, then you don't have to use as many fans and they don't have to spin as fast. But I'm just a guy, you know. My degree is not in science of aeronautics and aerodynamics and math. I suck at math. You know, but it's something that keeps weighing heavy on my heart. Every time I hear about a plane going down, I'm like, I can't fix this, but it can be fixed. When I see us battling with the elements that we can't control, and some people say we can, chemtrails and such, but when I see my battery's getting low, when I see Cessnas going down, I'm like, why did that Cessna go down? It went down because of the engine. The engine stalled. I'm like, with the technology I'm thinking about, there'd be no stalling of the engine. Not at all. Not to mention you would have a few settings. The engine would be able to glide pretty much with the power of the wind that's already created. Then if you multiply the power that you're already flying by, you can use that power and fold it. And if you fold it, it'll be times 2. But you have to have an engine that can fold that power. So if you're cruising, in a Cessna, you're doing 150 miles an hour, and, something starts going wrong with your engine, you can turn that engine's power off and use the power of the actual wind that's coming through the engine. It's just a theory, you guys. I don't know. It's just a theory. But I think it can actually work. I just don't know how to make it work. Man, that was a long walk and a good workout. I went and got some chicken too. Leroy Jenkins. Lisa had chicken. But all of these things can come to fruition, or they already have. But I don't know how to make these things happen. I don't know how to make them happen. I'm out, you guys. Some new neighbors. New neighbors. It's hot. I'm home. Time space technology. Time fold technology. Just imagine folding time. A single human being had that in that technology built into a suit. They'd be able to fold time and walk or run fast.